I used to work the night shift as a janitor at an old courthouse on the edge of the city. Nothing about that place screamed horror from the outside. Tall stone columns, iron gates, and quiet halls. My name is Marcus Bennett. I had no criminal record, no history of mental illness, and no reason to make things up. I swept floors, emptied bins, and kept to myself. But what happened in that building cannot be explained by reason or rules. And yet, it began with a list of rules. The first time I saw them, I assumed they were a prank. Rules like, do not speak to anyone on the 7th floor after midnight, and if you hear knocking from inside a broom closet, walk away. The first, I left. But as the nights passed and the rules began to break themselves, I stopped laughing. I started listening. That was when everything changed. There was something about silence at 2 in the morning that made the air feel heavier. The courthouse sat on an old government lot, long forgotten by most of the city. I had been working there for almost 6 months. The building had a personality of its own, groaning pipes, flickering lights, and a persistent chill that never went away. Most nights, it was just me. No security guard, no supervisors. Just a nightly checklist, a janitor's closet that smelled like bleach and rust, and 4 floors of long, echoing hallways. My shift started at 9 o'clock in the evening and ended at 5 in the morning. Every hour stretched like it was twice its length. I followed a routine that kept me grounded. I started from the basement level, filing rooms, archives, and a broken vending machine, and worked my way up, floor by floor, door by door. There was comfort in repetition, until it became something else. It was a Tuesday night when I found the list. I was mopping near the main elevator on the 3rd floor when I noticed a piece of yellow paper sticking out from behind the emergency panel. It looked aged, the corners curled like burnt toast. At first, I thought it was just another outdated fire drill chart, but something about it drew my eye. The handwriting was neat but rushed, each line underlined as if screaming to be remembered. Rules for night janitor. Memorize and follow. Only take the elevator between 11:15 and 11:30 p.m. If the light above the elevator blinks twice, skip that floor. Never clean courtroom 3 after midnight. If someone speaks to you from inside a closed door, do not respond. Avoid your own reflection in any glass surface after 2:15 a.m. If the lights go out on the 4th floor, leave immediately. Never, under any circumstance, acknowledge anyone sitting on the central staircase. My first instinct was that this was some inside joke left by a previous employee. Some kind of initiation prank to haze the new guy. I smiled to myself and folded the list into my pocket. But that night, something odd happened. The air changed. The courtroom felt colder, thicker. The overhead lights dimmed until everything took on a grayish hue. I turned toward the door, but it would not budge. Panic crept up my throat like fire. That was when I noticed something in the reflection of the courtroom's glass entry window. Someone was sitting in the gallery. But when I turned around, the seats were empty. I looked again. The reflection still showed a figure seated near the back. Motionless. Head tilted downward. I backed away slowly. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. Then I heard it. A voice, clear and without emotion, said from behind the door, "You are not supposed to be here." I froze. The door remained closed. I did not respond. The voice said nothing more. Just once. Just that line. Then silence. After what felt like hours, the lights returned, and the door creaked open by itself. I ran. That weekend I stayed home. I told my supervisor I had the flu. He barely responded. When I returned the following Monday, the paper with the rules was gone. In its place, there was a new sheet. Same handwriting. But the rules had changed. Do not use the elevator at all between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock a.m. If you see someone familiar in the hallway, ask them for their badge. The 3rd courtroom is now sealed. Do not attempt to enter. If you hear footsteps behind you, do not turn around. If you see your reflection smile before you do, leave immediately. When the clocks stop, count backward from 60. You are being watched. Something inside me cracked. These were not just warnings. They were threats. The building was shifting, adapting, watching, and I was still following the rules. Until I broke another. It was 2:45 in the morning when I passed the second-floor hallway and saw someone walking toward me. He looked exactly like my supervisor, Thomas Dillard. Same coat, same clipboard, same gait. He smiled at me. "Marcus?" he said. "Why are you still here?" That voice. Too soft, too smooth. I hesitated. "Let me see your badge," I said. The figure stopped mid-step. The smile faded. Then it spoke again, this time more gravel in its tone. "That is not necessary." It stepped forward. I backed up. My knees hit the wall behind me. And then, without warning, the hallway lights exploded one by one, bulbs bursting in sequence like dominoes of shattering glass. I bolted. I took the stairs, my breath ragged, chest heaving. When I reached the basement level, everything was dark. My flashlight flickered, then died. That was when I heard the voice again, from behind the water heater. "You should not have asked." Around 1 o'clock in the morning, while I was sweeping near the courtrooms, the lights on the 4th floor flickered. It was not unusual. The electrical system was ancient. But then they went out. Not dimmed. Not sputtered. They snapped off like someone had cut the wire with shears. I remembered the 6th rule on the list. If the lights go out on the 4th floor, leave immediately. I stood still for a moment, listening. My ears strained against the silence, trying to hear something, anything. Then, a low shuffle echoed from the end of the hallway. It sounded like rubber soles dragging slowly across the linoleum floor. I left. I did not clean the 4th floor that night. I told myself it was a safety concern. Maybe a fuse blew. Maybe a raccoon got inside. But in truth, I was afraid. Not of what I saw, but of what I did not see. The next few nights, I tried to ignore the paper. I left it in my locker. But the rules stayed in my mind, burned into memory. On Friday night, I made a mistake. It was 12:45 in the morning when I passed courtroom 3. I had forgotten the 3rd rule. Never clean courtroom 3 after midnight. The door was slightly open. The cleaning cart was low on supplies. I was tired, and I pushed the door open without thinking. Inside, the room looked perfectly normal. Wooden benches, judge's stand, jury box, a faint smell of lemon disinfectant. I started wiping down the benches when I noticed a sound, like paper flipping itself in the wind. I turned. On the judge's stand, there was an old leather-bound book. I had not seen it before. It lay open, pages fluttering though the room was still. I walked toward it. The moment I stepped behind the judge's bench, the door slammed shut. I do not remember what happened after that. I woke up in the janitor's closet, drenched in sweat, hands stained with soot. My uniform was torn. My radio was gone. The next day, I filed a resignation letter. I never sent it, because that night, when I returned to grab my belongings, I found something waiting in my locker. A 3rd list of rules. This one had only one line. You cannot leave without permission. Since then, the building has changed further. The staircases do not always lead to the right floors. The elevator opens to rooms that should not exist. My reflection moves too quickly. The clocks now stop every night at 3 o'clock, precisely. And every morning, when my shift ends, the front door unlocks itself. But only if I have followed the rules. All of them. Last night, the phone in courtroom 2 rang. It should not have. That room has no phone. I answered it. A voice. There is someone new starting tomorrow. Give them the rules. I did not sleep. I did not eat. This morning at 8 o'clock, I received a message from the office manager. We hired someone new. You will be training him this week. His name is Caleb, 19 years old. Smiled too wide. Asked too many questions. I gave him a list. The original one. And now I wait. Because once the rules are broken, they never really end. The next time the elevator doors opened for me, I did not press a button. There were no buttons. Only one line etched in the glass where the panel used to be. You are ready. The interior of the elevator looked different now. The walls had changed from brushed steel to something that looked organic, like it pulsed slightly beneath the surface. The floor creaked under my boots, not like metal or wood, but something softer. The elevator did not go up or down. There were no numbers flashing. only the growing hum in my chest that seemed to sync with the faint, invisible pulse around me. After what felt like minutes or hours, the doors opened to a hallway I had never seen before. It was narrow, lined with office doors that had no handles. Each one was labeled not with room numbers, but with single, carved words. Denial, regret, forgotten, replaced. And at the end of the hallway, a heavy black door marked with a word that made my knees lock. Marcus. The black door opened inward without my touch. Inside was what looked like a records archive, but instead of file cabinets, there were rows of shelves filled with videotapes, photographs, and bound journals. Dozens of them. Hundreds, maybe. Each labeled with a name. Many I did not recognize. Some I did. On the second row, tucked between a cracked photo album and a just marked August 3rd, sat a folder with my name in bold black letters. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside were photographs of me, cleaning floors, taking the stairs, eating lunch in the basement, even sleeping in the janitor's closet. But some photos were impossible. Me in rooms I had never been in. Me talking to people I had never seen. Me standing on the rooftop, mouth open in a scream. Then there were the notes. Handwritten logs, dates going back 3 years before I ever applied for this job. March 4th, year 1. Subject observed following initial rules. Response, compliant. August 12th, year 2. Subject broke rule 4. System initiated phase 2. October 19th, year 2. Subject still unaware of repetition loop. Current cycle, approaching threshold. Ready for keeper designation. I dropped the folder. Repetition loop? Had this happened before? Was I repeating something I did not even remember? Or worse, was this version of me the one that finally obeyed? A voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere at once. Understanding is unnecessary. Completion is required. On the way back, the elevator did not appear. I took the stairs. They spiraled down endlessly, more than 4 floors, more than 12. I lost count. Each landing looked older than the last, until eventually I saw roots crawling down the walls like veins, wrapping over door frames and light fixtures. At one landing, I found a figure standing still in the stairwell. A woman, or something like one. She faced the wall, her back to me, dressed in a uniform identical to mine, but older, faded, stained. I cleared my throat, the sound echoing like a scream in the narrow stairwell. She turned. Her face was mine, but her eyes were gone. Hollowed out sockets, dark and weeping. Her jaw moved, but no sound came out. Then she raised one trembling hand and pointed upward. The ceiling above her began to crack. I stepped back. She whispered, the voice like breath through gravel. Do not let him become us. I ran. That night, I returned to the janitor's office. It was not where I left it. The hallway was longer, stretching far past where it should end. My key did not work at first. When the lock finally gave way, the office had changed. All the supplies were gone. In their place was a single wooden chair, facing the wall. Inside, a clean white uniform, neatly folded, and a single piece of paper. I unfolded it with shaking fingers. This one was typed. That night, I walked past the lobby window. The glass had always reflected a warped version of the world. Colors too pale, movements a half-second slow. But this time, my reflection did not match me. It stared back, face cold and expressionless, lips moving silently. Then it smiled. Not with warmth. Not with comfort. With recognition. I raised my hand. It did not follow. Instead, it pressed its own palm against the glass. And words formed in the fog. You are becoming. It is hard to know how many days have passed. Time here is not linear. I go home, but the city feels wrong. The clocks stop at 3 o'clock in the morning every night. The streetlights flicker even when no wind blows. My neighbor's windows never show lights. Sometimes, I see people walking without shadows. Sometimes, I look out my apartment window and see the courthouse staring back, impossibly close, just across the street. I swear it moves closer every night. At work, Caleb is changing. There is no time. Only intervals. The elevator decides who leaves. You were always here. Reflections are remnants. Do not acknowledge them. They do not know they are echoes. Let them be. When the tower breathes, hold your breath. You are not alone. Do not let Caleb break the loop. The last line hit like ice down my spine. Caleb, the new hire. Was I now part of it? Was I supposed to watch him? Train him? Replace him? Protect him? Or was he going to become the next version of me? Caleb showed up just before 9 o'clock in the evening. Bright smile. Nervous energy. Clean boots and too many questions. He looked around the lobby with wide eyes. I could tell he noticed the flicker in the lights, the faint smell of something burnt in the air. I gave him a mop, a cart, and the original rules. I told him nothing more. He asked about the broken elevator. I said it had been that way for years. He looked at the old courtroom with curiosity. I told him it was off limits. Then I left him to it. But I did not go home. I stayed, watching from the staircase, just out of view. At 11:28, the elevator opened for him. The doors sighed like lungs. He hesitated, then stepped in. I waited. The doors closed behind him. And I knew I would see him again, sooner than either of us expected. He asked me yesterday what the knocking behind the locker room wall meant. I told him not to answer it. Today, I caught him talking to his reflection in the mop bucket. Tomorrow I will ask for his badge. If he does not have it, I will know it is too late. The building always chooses. And someone always becomes the keeper. If you are listening to this, or reading it, or watching it, then maybe the courthouse has chosen you next. Maybe you just got hired. Maybe you think this is all a story. But you will learn, just like I did. The rules are not about safety. They are about control. They are not there to protect you. They are there to protect everything else from what happens when you forget who you are. And if you ever find yourself on the 13th floor, do not answer the phone. Do not open the drawers. And above all, do not break the rules.